Twenty Naked Selves. This is a poem written after Frank O'Hara in memory of my feelings. I am an ill-clad Venetian artist who has fallen in love with the winter streets of Montreal and the snow-laden branches in its parks. I am a buried electric bulb awaiting the full moon after the first day of spring, which is today. I am a kitchen fanatic, a short-order cook, not a pastry chef. Or perhaps I am a pastry chef. Look at my croquembouche, not a cook. This is like the discussion that you must love either science fiction or mysteries, not both, and definitely not neither. Of course I love neither. I am one of the Irish volunteers now boxed into a Dublin graveyard. I am an enthusiastic and hesitant teacher, a linguist walking the paths of Père Lachaise, speaking, as the songbirds do, a different language with each season, and exiting the graveyard to find a father, easing his child's foot into a sneaker and taking him on a rough sea crossing. I am a delighted aunt, a delighted passenger, a delighted lover. These are not permanent states. I am a seamstress, stitching plackets and hems into poems, escape hatches. I am a cyclist, spinning across the city after my machine's tune-up at the spring rate offered if you book before this leap year's extra day, which I did. I squeezed a lot into it. I am a colorist in a hair salon, a potter, a heretic, a non-driver, and an air traffic controller, monitoring the earthbound messages of stars and satellites. An asthmatic like Proust, but less prolific. Listening to your footfalls, I am a sentimental philatelist, collecting the stamps you make on the stairs, the kitchen floor, the ravine path, the leaf and twig-covered soil of our backyard. This poem is a Mother's Day poem. I wrote it after I'd attended a demonstration on the Sunday of Mother's Day, and it also brings in the Alberta fires of 2016, which began in May of that year, when 80,000 people were evacuated. It has an epigraph from the poet John Wieners: "Take not away from me the small fires I burn in the memory of love." Motherspeak. It's the day for mothers to speak gratitude or bitterness or relief into the static of old telephone lines. It is not a day for small fires, votive lamps, yahrzeit candles, the cinder of my mother's cigarette. A fiery beast is devouring a boreal forest, the northern half of a province. It's a day for the motherless and undermothered to speak our orphan words, to lift the lily of the valley's tiny teacups to our lips, to wash the chandelier's crystal droplets. How rough the towels, how stiff the sheets the mothers have left us. This morning the wind whistled into the speaker's megaphone. She listed her several workplace injuries, her children's names, showed us an image of a Hindu holy woman and a picture of the judge who denied her claims. We tossed our words up 7 stories to the blankness of the politician's Sunday absence. How sallow was the sky, how gusty the wind, the colossal fires still burning. Dolorosa. For some, Holy Week, the week of processions and penitence, ends with Forsythia and the blue spill of Scylla all down this winter-battered city hill. For others, bombardment and catastrophe, Stabat Mater at the foot of the cross, Stabat Mater Dolorosa. The second deadliest weapon in the arsenal, pitched right up close to the deadliest, stood the woman with her sorrow at the foot of the mother bomb. We roast the lamb and forget the past, our right to live a blitz-free life. Who gathers the hungry children, boils a single egg for a family of 8? Who binds their wounds and lifelong distress? Who speaks with a stammer and never learns to read? Whose orange life jacket is cast on the rocks by storm at midnight? After sorrow comes happiness, wrote Ho Chi Minh. What could be more natural? We are in a remembering frame of mind, but it does no good. There are some who think of war with no despair, who scrawl red words on every wall. We want a map out of here. We have only the 6-petaled blue flower. Ancestors. The dog next door, distant as her masters. From their garden, she looks up at me in my window and looks away. No bond between us. But her dark gaze sinks into me nonetheless. In exile, Beidou writes, "Each and every moment's a shortcut." Of course, that's a translation from the Chinese, but what is that moment of looking away a shortcut into? Beidou may have meant a quick detour to death, but I should probably consider moments like the black dog's single bark at the approach of her teenaged mistress, a deep bark of yes. My arms stretch from my second-floor balcony down to my neighbor's back door. My fingers scratch behind the dog's ears. Her name recalls a distant island. Is she far from her wolf ancestors? Perhaps she knows mine are panthers. This poem, Speaking for Sky, was written for a day that celebrated the people of the Pickering lands whose property has been expropriated by the federal government and has remained in federal government hands for over 25 or 30 years. With my friend Sandra Campbell, we created a day to celebrate those lands and the people who are still hoping that it will be returned to arable land, as these are grade 1 agricultural lands. The poem is called Speaking for Sky. I don't want to play favorites with the elements, but earth is my task this autumn. Sumac, rickrack, parched fields. Though mostly I want to speak for sky, its embrace of open land, green tablet, legible surface. We could go large or small with sky, flex and flatten the small of the back, starfish stretch, arms and legs, increase presence of self between sky and earth. When upright, our bodies ignore sky. Lying down, body speaks to sky. Sky replies in kind. Milk-white draw of cloud pouring and pouring. The sentence, a contrail written across the sky. Sky filled with metal and fumes and noise heard before the aircraft appears, except for the dirigible and its inflated beer ads hanging above city traffic, so loud in its silence. Within and beneath sky, the kinds of madness that displacement brings. Prime farmland left fallow. A refugee child asleep in a Hungarian ditch. The dispersals these lands have seen, where once human bones were laid, Wendat and settlers, their feasts, their crops, their homes. Daylight, nightfall, star spill, untidy hopes rain-washed, snow-covered, resilience and daring, colt's foot, May apples, calamus root to protect the heart. The land is a tablet, never empty of words, a table, a place, a plate at a table, a plat, for orchards, bee balm, red wings, what the farmer writes and rewrites. So, Are You Ladies Lost is a poem I wrote. Actually, there are two poems, Are You Ladies Lost, but I'll read one of them. I wrote after my partner and I ran into two men on the street near our house as we were returning from the gym. And we were looking up into the tree because we heard a robin, and it was a freezing cold January morning. So here's the poem. Are you ladies lost? Asks one of the men as we stand staring up into the bare branch tree at the end of our street. No, we say, no, we're looking at the robin. Robin singing plumply from a February branch, dawn song, a run of high notes that trill upwards back to the lost sounds. Sounds of the bone or bamboo flute, of a sharp shovel cutting into turf, whir of the spinning wheel, electric typewriter. "Why have you come back so soon?" we ask the robin, "or did you never leave?" The two guys look at us with concern. One says, "The men won gold this morning," our team, on a distant frozen rink. We slip and crackle our way across ice patches up and down decaying snowbanks. The two men themselves seem a bit lost, but we are grateful for the return of birdsong and their kindness. We go back home for showers and laundry and washing the week's radishes and carrots and pears. Sunday morning, last day of the Olympics, but we are more warmed by the roundness and cheer-up song from the tree beside the train tracks, by the gush of hot water and the love cries that spilled into our night's sleep. "What am I here for?" asks my friend's elderly mother, impatient to die. "Just to notice one beautiful thing a day," she tells her. A few blocks over, the carillon at the Russian Orthodox Church rings. A ripple of white swirls in transparent ice over a driveway puddle. 2 bouquets of orange-streaked yellow tulips, winter sunset in a vase.